You're listening to Forward Faster, bite-sized insights for entrepreneurs.
Harvard Business Review recently reported on what they're calling a frustrating paradox at the heart of green business. Increasingly, consumers are saying that they want to shop from purpose-driven brands that advocate for sustainability, but very few of those same consumers are actually putting their money where their mouth is. I'm here today with Jennifer Young. She is the founder of What's Good, and she's helping to bridge that gap between intention and action. And just to quote one recent study, something like 65% of consumers say they want to buy from these brands and services that are green and eco-friendly, but only 26% actually do, which is pretty sad. So Jennifer, like I said, is helping to bridge that gap with her online store. ShopWhat'sGood.com provides healthy, green, ethically sourced products in one place at competitive prices, which is important, along with helpful content so consumers can understand the power of their dollar. Jennifer, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. This is really an exciting opportunity to chat about what I love.
Yeah, we're happy to have you. So first off, I have to say congratulations. I know that you recently launched ShopWhat'sGood.com. Mm-hmm. I've checked it out. It looks wonderful. I'm super excited to do some holiday shopping.
Yes.
Can you talk to us about what kind of products people can expect to find there?
Sure. We're in our phase one. As you said, we just launched. So we have products across many categories, but we intend to be much broader. So categories like kitchen, bath, cleaning, baking, cooking, self-care products, even some outdoor products if you find yourself hiking, things like that.
Nice. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what do you think, going back to this gap between what people say they want and what they actually buy, what do you think is holding consumers back from shopping more environmentally and socially conscious?
I might look at that report a little bit differently than you do.
Okay.
There's certainly lots of reports out there that substantiate that more than half of Americans believe in socially conscious purchases and voting with their dollars. I would argue that number is climbing, not only in Americans who believe that, but where they put their dollars. So what was your number? 26% are actually only doing it. I think they're limited by choice. I mean, your major grocery store brands don't necessarily have 8 different types of green recycled toilet paper, or so I think they're limited by choice. And I think that you're also seeing a lot of these innovative products are selling 1 or 2 products on their website. So people are shopping in multiple places, and that's not convenient. I also think that grocery stores and big box stores put a premium on natural or eco-friendly products that they don't necessarily need to do. So I think that forces people to pull back a little bit with their wallet.
Great. So how is your online store helping consumers kind of overcome these challenges?
Sure. So part of the reason I started the store was because I didn't want to shop at multiple places. I didn't want to pay more money, and I wanted choice. So those are the things that What's Good does for consumers. I also wanted to be able to trust the products, that it wasn't just a green label slapped on it. So, so we're offering curated products that people can trust. We're offering them at as competitive a price as we can. We are really working on creating a robust selection across many of the categories that I mentioned, whether it's cleaning supplies, self-care, kid products, those kinds of things. So you get selection, trust, competitive pricing in one place.
So what inspired you to start this online store?
How much time do we have? I think that it originally goes back to my mother raising me as a divorced mom. I was an only child, and she was on her own. And she had the guts to say, I'm going to open up a health food store, a natural health food store. And at that time, in the early 70s, it was hard to just get an apartment, not being married, and certainly being a single mom. So she, through her actions, modeled for me what it meant to be an entrepreneur, but more importantly, what it meant to really stand for something and have food that's healthy for you. The process of making sprouts or dehydrating fruits and vegetables, it just instilled in me that we have choices, that what we put into our mouth and our bodies and what we clean with matters. And that's stuck with me my entire life. But I would also say that, being a mom, of three kids. I mean, they're grown up and out of the house, but you want to provide a healthy environment for your kids. You work so hard to be the best parent that you can. Why would you then give them food or subject them to carcinogens? You love them. So I would say that, so my mother, my family have helped to inspire that.
That's great.
And also my own frustration
Yeah.
with not being able to find the products that I wanted to find.
Right. I do think in my own experience that has been something that sort of holds me back, right, is not really knowing where to look. So it's great to search your site and have all these different categories. That makes it easy to find what you're looking for and find options. So in addition to shopping responsibly, do you have any tips for anyone on, what they can do to live more green and responsible?
Sure. So shopping can be intimidating, and you're spending money, but there's so many things that people can do without spending a dollar. You always hear, and it sounds cliche, reduce, reuse, recycle, but I would add to that stop. So stop using recycled water bottles. If somebody offers it to you, say no thank you. You send a message when you do that. When you order a drink at a restaurant, don't order it with a straw. Or if it does come with a straw, put it in your pocketbook and take it with you. And tell the places that you shop that you would love it if they had a more eco-friendly choice. And you can do that without spending anything. You can also reuse products in your house. I love wrapping kids' gifts in the comic section, or if you gift books, use the New York Times book review. I mean, it's a really sophisticated way to reuse.
Yeah.
And if you're really on a budget, if you have a mayonnaise jar, a jelly jar, whatever, reuse that to store your food.
Smart.
And then I would say if you are ready to start investing in greener products, I would start with the products that you use on your body and for storing your food and things that touch your food. Make that your priority. And then once you do that, move on to things that, maybe it's your garbage, things like that. But start with your own health first.
That's great advice. So we're very happy to have What's Good as part of the NextCorps incubator. Can you talk to our audience a little bit about what that experience has been like, what sort of benefits you've gained from incubating here?
Sure. So when you first have an idea and you talk to your family and your friends, you're going to get one of two reactions. That's amazing. Yes, absolutely, go for it. Or they're going to be naysayers and they're going to say, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. So coming to NextCorps was a way for me to find credibility and a professional support. We believe in you professionally. We know what we're talking about. It's not just, your grandmother who adores you is saying, go, Jennifer, go. You really are getting real feedback. And if the professionals here in this environment say it's a go, yeah, that sounds like a great idea. What else can you do? Then you feel like you're unstoppable. And that was really what I needed.
So what about being at NextCorps has surprised you?
Well, NextCorps can be intimidating for a single entrepreneur like myself because, the focus is high tech and you have the Illuminate and you have manufacturing and people who just look like they know what they're doing. So for me coming in, I was a little bit intimidated, and it was surprising to me that everyone from office staff, accounting, wherever you walk in the building were supportive, and they were like, how's your business going? When's your launch? So that was surprising. The other surprising component was that they took me seriously. My advisors took me seriously. I don't have patents. I'm not in the tech world. I'm not going to turn around and sell my company for $5 million before it even launches. I mean, I'm not at that level, but yet they gave me the same professional courtesy and advice and treated me as if I was a Silicon Valley startup, and I appreciated that.
That's wonderful to hear. Great. So how about for your advice for entrepreneurs who are starting out or startups that are just beginning their journey? Any advice for them?
I think you have to be all in it. I think you have to give 100%. I was both lucky and disadvantaged that I wasn't working. And so I didn't have anything else distracting me, so I could pour myself fully into my ideas and the research. And that was exciting. If I were working a full-time job, I think that it would have been a little bit harder because life gets in the way. So for me, it's been the ability to full-on dig into it.
How about trusting your gut? Because you told me a short story before this about, you received some advice here at NextCorps, and you kind of decided to stick with your gut in terms of your website launch. Can you tell us about that?
Well, let me first state by saying that I've received fabulous advice and fabulous support from the folks at NextCorps. When I was starting, it was taking me a little bit longer to get to my website and get to the launch. And my advisors rightly said, limit the amount of product you launch with. They said, maybe 5, 10. And I took the advice and I went home and I tried to figure out how I could make that work. But when you imagine yourself in front of your audience of family and friends and supporters and also, just the bigger globe, I thought they're going to think this website is hokey, is homemade. I can't have 5 products. So I postponed my launch by about 2 months and did it in the way that I thought I needed to do it, which was, 70 products. And the downside was it did take me longer. They were right. It did delay my start. But I'm glad I did because so many people said, wow, I can't believe you're just one person. We would think you had 10 people behind the scenes.
So it really is a balance of taking that advice, but then sticking with what you're comfortable with.
Right. I had another friend tell me, do it your way. I was going on about how disappointed I was that I was delayed. And she said, you have to do it in a way that makes you proud. Otherwise, you're not following your heart. And isn't that what being an entrepreneur is? You're following your passion and your heart. And if it's not right, then it's not right.
Yeah. And that website is something to be proud of. And it's in the description below, but you can find her store at shopwhatsgood.com. So you've mentioned some categories. Can you dig into some specific products? Maybe there's one that really excites you that you think that, everyone should have.
Sure. There's a product for doing your laundry, and that sounds boring, right? But what this company has done is they've taken the liquid out of it and they've taken the weight out of it, and they're just little laundry strips. And you literally, it's like a half of a size of $1, and you just put it in your washer machine. And so you're not buying these big gallon jugs of liquid. You're not shipping, that massive amount of weight because your laundry adds water to it. So why not have a concentrated laundry strip that you just throw in there? And I think it's great for, young people in college dorms, people who are using the laundromat who don't want to schlep it. But it's also just a better choice for the environment. And it's a healthy alternative because there's no toxins or added artificial dyes or things like that.
So you've mentioned college students. This sounds like a product I could use. Who's your target audience for this website?
It's a great question. The target audience is fairly broad. But without getting into the details of who they are and what the persona of my perfect customer is, I guess I want to talk about shades of green. There are so many shades of green. And this site is for people who don't consider themselves maybe an eco-friendly person, but they just need good products that work. So it's for them. So that might be on the lighter shade of green. It's also for that person who maybe is thinking about living off the grid someday, and everywhere in the middle. Because I think what happens sometimes is in our desire to change the world, we create a store, a website, a marketplace that can be preachy or can be so far-reaching that it takes people too far out of your comfort zone. And an example might be soap nuts. You can do laundry with soap nuts. They come in a little muslin bag, and they're natural nuts, and you put them in your laundry. I tried them. I'm really eco-friendly, and it just didn't work for me. It took me out of my comfort zone. I'd much rather use the laundry strips or a non-toxic powder because that's within my comfort zone. So I just want people to know that there are products that go across the green spectrum, and it's for everyone.
That's great. I've never heard the term shades of green, but that's very smart. And I know some people who are on the lighter shade of green, and then my husband who gives me a side eye every time I use a paper towel. So I can appreciate that, and I will use that moving forward.
I have a personal addiction to paper towels, so I feel you there, and I also understand your husband's plight. And, in that realm, we have non-chlorinated paper towels. So if you have to use a paper towel, use the brown ones.
Okay.
Yeah. And, maybe what you try and do is you try and reduce that dependence on paper, and you move to reusable paper towels that maybe they're still paper, but you can use them and wash them throughout the week and, get a week's worth of use out of them. And then you upgrade to, almost like a dishcloth paper towel, and you just throw it in your wash when you're done with it. And so in our house, we keep the paper towels hidden for those like dog disasters and things you wouldn't want to put in your washing machine. So, it's a spectrum.
Mm-hmm. That's great.
Mm-hmm. One of the products I was really excited about bringing to What's Good, and I thought about over and over again when I was writing my business plan, was a beeswax candle, because it's one of those products that people don't think about when you burn candles over the holidays. Most of the time they're paraffin, which is a petroleum product, and they drip, they create soot in your house, you're breathing toxic fumes. But we light them all in every room of our house during the holidays. But with a beeswax candle, it actually cleans the air. So people who have asthma or allergies or upper respiratory infections, you're not going to suffer from any soot or smoke that's released. So long story longer, I spent so much time researching companies that create beeswax candles, and they have to be 100% pure beeswax. And I wanted them to have their beeswax from apiaries in the U.S. or in Canada is fine too. But I wanted them to also be connected to the source, to the bees. And after researching so many companies, I found one in the Pacific Northwest that not only really supports sustainable beekeeping in the U.S., they give back 5% of their profits to education, research, and sustainability. And that was the kind of company that I wanted to align with. And most of the companies on What's Good are either makers or small businesses. I have one or two larger companies, but for the most part, they align with the ethos of What's Good, which means that they're companies that do good, not just in the manufacturing of their product, but in the culture they create for their employees and also for giving back to the community. And those are sort of the three things that I look at when I interview a company. It's not just how great their product it is, it's how do they make it, what do they give back, what are they doing for that industry. And so beeswax candles, for me, I get really excited about because when you burn them, they release negative ions, which help release stress. It helps boost your serotonin. I mean, there's all these studies out, and I'm not sure if any single one is definitive, but the benefit is large.
Well, as someone who burns candles and also has asthma and allergies, this is definitely a product I'm going to have to check out.
Okay.
Talking about the companies that you try to work with, so they sound like B Corps. Is that what you look for?
Many of them are B Corps,
Okay.
absolutely.
Great.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Some of them are Green America approved. I look for certainly certifications, but a lot of small companies don't have the resources to get those certifications. I mean, it's a big process to become a B
sure.
Corp.
I used to work for a B Corp, so I totally understand not only getting it, but then maintaining your status.
Exactly. And so I want to talk to you because What's Good would like to apply as well. So I want to be mindful of that. But it's, how are they producing their products? So, for example, back to the beeswax candle, the company that I purchased the beeswax from, they work really hard on their packaging. They work really hard on the materials in addition to the beeswax because there's cotton wicks and, other parts and components, the dyes, the essential oils, things like that. They pay careful attention to that, and they manufacture in such a way that does no harm. Some of the companies that I work with use solar or they offset with wind energy. And those are all really, really important. So, you'll hear people say, well, is it recyclable? Is that product recyclable?
But there's so much more.
Sometimes it's not about, you want to look at what happens on the waste stream,
right.
But sometimes it's about how is that product made. And another example that I might give, this confused me for a long time, were garbage bags. There are your normal plastic garbage bags, hefty, wimpy, wimpy. There's your recycled plastic garbage bags, and you have your compostable garbage bags. And, how do you choose between those? If they're all within a couple dollars of each other, what's the best choice for you? And when you look at the chemical process that it takes to make a virgin plastic bag, and it's not from a renewable source. It creates toxicity in the environment, and the embodied energy to do that is just really, really great. So the next step is, well, we'll go with the recycled one. That's great. It's making use of products that are already in the waste stream, and they're sturdy bags. So that's a fine choice. With the compostable ones, they tend to be a little bit thinner. Their shelf life is shorter, usually only a year, and they're meant to go to a compostable an industrial facility for compostables. Well, if you're just putting trash in it, it's going to a landfill. So which one should you choose?
Depends on what you're getting rid of.
It depends on what you're getting rid of. If you have a lot of heavy things, and you might want that recycled one. And the compostable bag, you might say, well, I'm never going to take this whole thing to a compostable facility. I'm sending it to a landfill. But when you look at the pre-process, it's made with plant starches. It's made using, a third of the energy, the water, and all of that to make that bag. That's the better choice. So even if it goes to a landfill and it just sits there for the next 200 years, it still was made consuming less. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
And these are
I
great
get
examples.
really excited about that.
No, that's wonderful.
Okay.
Jennifer, we like to ask the question, what do you foresee happening, in your industry, in your field? So if you were to fast forward 10 years, what do you envision for the future of green shopping, green brands?
Well, I think my vision is also my hope. I hope that it becomes standard. I hope that I think that already it's moving in this direction, that consumers care more about what the ingredients are, where it was made, how it was manufactured, what the end life of the product is. And I think that'll become more commonplace. But I also think that we're seeing a trend, and more innovative products are coming on the market. And the more entrepreneurs and the more people that put forth products that are healthy and good for the planet and good for our economy, it'll reduce the costs and more people will buy them. And it'll just become a standard, I think.
Yeah. How about for what's good? What's ahead?
Oh, there's so much. In the short term, we're working on messaging and getting the word out that we exist and inviting people to come to us. But in the long term, we have great products coming for sure. But we also have a give back program that we want to be more robust. We envision a fundraising program where local not-for-profits or organizations or schools can fundraise through the products on our site. We also have a business program in the works, so hopefully in 2020 that will be fully fleshed out and available.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it is
Great.
exciting.
Good for you. All right. So thank you so much for Jennifer for joining us. Again, if you want to learn more about what's good and stock up on some environmentally and socially responsible products for your home and your office, you can head to shopwhatsgood.com. Thanks.